What a wonderful way to start the day. Thank you, choir. Good morning. It is so wonderful to see you all here this morning, newcomers, longtime members, and those who are visiting for the very first time, and those watching online. Hello. We celebrate you. My name is Amber, and I am delighted to be your celebration associate for this morning. And may we gather today to nurture our connections, seek inspiration, and embrace change. And I don't know if you noticed, but we have some extra guests here in the front row this morning. The Stuffies have completed their sleepover and are ready to be reunited with their families, and I believe they also had their photos taken. So it's an exciting moment for everybody. Story is our theme for January. What is your story? Whose stories do you listen to? And how does that shape your view of the world? We have many activities this week. Please read your order of service for more information. And also, please note that Reverend Peaches Gillette needed to cancel the Care Cafe today, so that will not be taking place today after service. Please note that if you are new or visiting for the very first time, we have these yellow pew cards. Please complete one of these and you may drop it in the offertory plate, or you can visit our newcomers table in the lobby after service, which is also where we have coffee, tea, and treats, so stick around. Before we take the moment to light this chalice, let's take a moment to greet one another and say hello this morning. Okay, friends, don't worry, there'll be plenty of time afterwards to catch up some more. I'd like to welcome Madeline and family up to light our chalice this morning. Or Madeline representing her family. Please join me with our words of the chalice lighting. May these gifts, whoops, that's the offertory words. We're not ready for that yet. Whoa. Hang on a moment. Here we are. I think she memorized them, so that's kind of, would you like to say them, Madeline?
Be light that shines, the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
Yes, exactly. Next up, Reverend Emily, or Emily soon to be Reverend.
This is a story about a man with a story about stories, if you will. Once upon a time, there was a man with a story. This wasn't any old once upon a time story, though. Not one you could find on a bookshelf or hear around the campfire. This was his story, and no one else's. This story had been carefully crafted. It began before he was born, and this story told of his loves and fears, his dreams realized and his dreams yet to come. This story was complete. It told his whole life, including those bits that still existed in his imagination. In fact, this story was so complete, and he was so happy with his story that he carried it around with him to make sure that it would be safe. It was somewhat bulky and unwieldy, but he didn't mind. It was his story. The thing about this story was, it was very fragile, made up of many pieces and held together only by his imagination. He was worried that it might break apart at any minute. And so he grew more and more protective of his story. He held it even closer, As he went about his life, he checked on the story to make sure that he was following it correctly. He avoided adventure and unknowns because, well, they might break his story. Then one day, the inevitable happened. Without any warning, his story broke. It was unforeseen, and he hadn't done anything wrong at all. But there it was, lying in 1,000 pieces on the ground, with the sun glinting off bits of the story that he had so carefully protected for all those years. He was heartbroken. And since his story hadn't said, "Put the pieces back together again," he was at a loss. What now? He sat down next to the pile of pieces and cried. A while later, maybe it was minutes, maybe it was hours, a group of people came out of a nearby building and they saw him sitting on the sidewalk, surrounded by broken pieces, clearly in need of help. "What happened here?" a woman asked. "My story, it's gone. I worked so hard to build it, to protect it, to keep it from harm, and now it's gone," he wailed. "Is this the story here?" a man asked. "Yes, and look, there's nothing left of it." "It looks like it's here, not gone," said a child. "We just have to put it back together." "Put it back together? There's no way. You don't even know what it looked like. How will you put it back together if you don't even know me?" The child was tenacious. "Don't worry. With all of us here to help, we'll put it back together in a way that you would never even expect. You never know. It might be even more beautiful than before." So they swept up the pieces of this man's story carefully, and they went together into the building from which they had emerged. They poured him some hot coffee, and they sang a song he had never heard before, something about coming again and again, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times. The song was soothing, and the coffee was warm. He began to feel hope again, that his story could be put back together. It took a long time, maybe days, maybe even years, but they got it back together, and they added some new parts, and some old parts didn't fit anymore, but that was okay. The child had been right. It was more beautiful than before. And this time, the story was held together not only by his imagination, but by the imagination and support of an entire community. And it wasn't so fragile. And it even allowed for some adventure. Friends, I have some pieces of a story here. There are 35 of them, and there are some markers in different places in the pew, and I'm going to invite anyone who wants to take one of these pieces of story and color in all of the white parts. And at the end, after the service, we're going to see what it is that we created. And I think it's going to be even more beautiful than it is right now because we're going to do it together. Thank you, Madeline. On that note, I'm going to invite you to rise and sing "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." You can find the words on the screens in the front of the sanctuary. Oh, yeah. So sorry. And also the Side with Love collection, friends. So I think Madeline talked to some of you about baskets, so go ahead and grab a basket. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of weeping, hearts whose no caravan of despair. Come, heavy and bound. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper. friends. We got some baskets still coming around if you have anything to donate for our Side with Love. This is also the time when we invite anyone to come forward who is young or young at heart and wants to join us for our Time for Wonder. Hi, friends. It's okay. You can come on up. You can pass them around right now, yeah. Hi. How are you all doing? Thanks for bringing your stuff. They used to hang out with us last night, although they can be quite a handful, as you can see. All right, who has not had a chance to open up our Wonder Box recently? Who has not had a chance? Leona, have you ever opened up the Wonder Box? No. Have you ever opened up the Wonder Box? Do you want to come do it? Yeah, come on up. Are you tall enough? Do I need to bring it down for you? You got it? Okay, I'll bring it down for you. All right. Open it up. Push it up. You got it. What'd you find in there? Can you pull them out? What is it?
It's a bone.
It's a bone. Was there another thing in there too?
Yeah.
Can you pull that out too? There you go. All right, you got a bone and a ball. We're going to need those. All right. I have a story to tell, and for that I'm going to need a couple of friends to help me. These friends are, let's see, Carl. Oh. Who's that, Allie? Yeah. Who are these good people?
Bun and carrot.
Bun and carrot. And, oh, here we go. Are you ready? Hi, I'm Carl, and I'm a good boy. Yeah, it's true. I know. Ever since I was a puppy, my mom taught me to follow the golden rule, and she said, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Yeah, yeah. So, and this is my friend, Cupcake. Hi, Cupcake.
Muted. Friend? Well, I don't know him. Carl, what are you doing today while the food givers are at work?
Oh, it's Random Acts of Kindness Day? Yeah. So I'm going to go do nice things for all of our roommates.
That sounds interesting. Who are you going to start with?
Can I have this? Can I have this? Yeah, I'm gonna take a bone to Bun and Carrot. Yeah.
You're going to give Bun
Yeah.
and Carrot
Yeah. Okay, bye.
the
Hi.
rabbits
Yeah. Hi.
one of your bones?
I brought you a carrot. Hi, Cupcake.
Hi. What's wrong, Carl?
Bun and Carrot, they didn't like the bone. They got really mad at me, and they even thumped their feet at me. They were so mad.
I wonder why.
It's a great mystery. I don't know. I guess they're just in a bad mood because I really love bones.
I mean, maybe just treats aren't the best vehicle for cross-species bonding?
Maybe you're right. Oh, I know. I'll try a toy next. Hey, can I have that? Oh, yeah. I know. I'm gonna go give Anna my very best tennis ball. So it's gonna be hard because I really love it. But I really love to play fetch. So yeah, I think it's gonna make Anna really happy.
Anna, the snake.
Yeah. I can't wait to run and play fetch with her and chase after the ball.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Okay, yes, bye.
Carl,
We're gonna play fetch.
Carl, how is Anna going to chase the ball?
You want to play fetch? The ball's over there. Huh? No? Oh. You gonna play fetch with me? They didn't want to play fetch. Anna just hissed at me and turned away.
How was Anna supposed to catch the ball?
Well, with her legs.
Her legs.
Yeah.
Her legs. Carl,
Yeah? Yeah,
Anna-
that's how you chase a ball.
No, Anna doesn't have legs. She's a snake.
Oh, well, I guess she doesn't.
Do you think that maybe if you want to play with Anna, then just maybe you should ask how she wants to play?
Oh. Hi. Hi, Anna. Do you want to play? How would you like to play? Oh, okay. This is a nice sunny spot. Hi, Bun Bun. Hi, Carrot. Do you wanna do something today? What would make you happy? Oh, okay. Great. I'll be back. Okay. Hi, Cupcake.
Hey, Carl. You look happier. How'd things go with Anna?
Oh, it was really great. I went to Anna and I said, hi, how do you want to play? What do you want to do? And Anna said that she really likes basking in the sun, but there's a really nice sunny patch she can't get to in her terrarium. So I put her on my back and we went over there and we basked in the sun. And I even rolled over on my belly.
You basked.
Yeah.
In the sun.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, wow, Carl, I think I might be a little jealous. That sounds really wonderful.
Yeah. It went really well. So I was thinking that I went to Bun Bun and Carrot too, and I asked them what they wanted to do, and they said they wanted to go eat some clover, which doesn't sound very good to me, but I guess I'll give it a try.
Oh, it sounds like you learned something today.
Yeah. When I was a puppy, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, worked really well because we were all puppies. But now I have different friends who have different needs, and I need to remember to ask what it is that they need and what they want.
Carl, you discovered the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them.
Yeah, which means I have to ask them what they like.
That's right. Now, let's go get some catnip.
Cupcake.
Just kidding. Carl, I'm gonna have some catnip. You can have whatever you dogs like.
Our thank you, yes, Lord, round of applause for Cupcake, Carl, Bun Bun, and Carrot and Anna for helping to teach us the platinum rule today. So how we treat others is an important part of our story. And if we remember to ask others how they want to be treated, instead of assuming that they want or need the same things that we do, then we can keep love at the center. Friends, I'm going to invite you to return back to your seats while we do joys and sorrows. And then if you want, you can come back up for the guided meditation.
So I think I did the right thing. The microphone is on when it's up. Good morning. I wanted to share that there are two different ways that your joy or sorrow or appreciation can be submitted for inclusion on Sunday. You can send notices to joys and sorrows at uuithaca.org by 9 a.m. On Sunday morning, or fill out a green pew card right over here before the service and place it on the basket inside the door to the parlor. When considering what you might want to say in your joys and sorrows, please note that the services are live streamed and available to the public on our YouTube channel. So it is my pleasure to, in the spirit of reverence, love, and care, to take time now to bear witness to some of the joys and sorrows of our community, to share those events that call for our prayers and support our praise and celebration. So today, from Jess Brown, On the subject of the stuffy sleepover, she shares deepest gratitude to the RE team who hosted 26 kids at the stuffy sleepover for over 4 hours last night. As you can tell by the very tired stuffed animals, her kids came home bouncing with excitement for the games, snacks, and friends. Walking into the arch room and seeing piles of children together was a joy for Jess. Thank you for building a sustained connection between these kids to the RE team. So now for those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, into this community, into this space of healing and hope, let us call these names out loud. For those we are holding in our hearts, let us take a moment of silence. We extend loving kindness to all in our world, and let us remember to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness, and let us strive to keep showing up to our lives and each other with an open heart. Love and courage to us all. Blessed be and amen.
Friends, I invite you to join me in body breath meditation. You can do this sitting or standing. And if anyone did want to come down to the front and have some more space, you're welcome to do that as well. We're going to start with our arms open wide. And then we're going to breathe in to our core. Breathe out, we're going to release upward. Breathing back in, heart center. Releasing out to the ground. And then coming back to heart center. We start with our arms wide, breathing in to our core, and this time we're going to hold it right here. Just breathing at our own pace. And as you do so, I want your mind to search for a time, a story of your life, when you experienced an act of kindness from another. It could have been a moment when you were in need, could have been a listening ear, could be sustenance. Anytime, and just hold that right in your center. That joy, that warmth, that care that you experience. We're going to slowly bring our arms up. We're going to release the sky, sharing that love and warmth with the universe around us. We're going to breathe back in the heart center. We're going to hold it here. This time, we're going to let our mind search back for a time when we were the one who offered kindness to another. When we saw someone in need and we were able to be there for them. Maybe we were that listening ear. We were that hand held out. We were the one who provided care and nourishment. Hold that feeling right in your heart. We're going to release that out to the ground so that that love and kindness can spread and grow roots all around us. And bringing our hands back to heart center. All right, we're going to do it one more time. Starting with our arms open wide. Breathing into our core, pulling in all that joy of gifts received. Breathing out, up to the sky, releasing it all to share with the universe. Breathing in again to our heart center, thinking of the gifts that we give. releasing that down into the ground so that it can grow, and then bringing it back to heart center.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to the work of the church. For those watching remotely, instructions for giving using your phone or computer will appear on your screen during the offertory music and in the information below the live stream image on YouTube. For those attending in person, ushers will pass the plate. We give because now more than ever we find it important to put our time, energy, and monetary offerings towards institutions that we feel support the values that we hold, such as equity, justice, and involvement in the community. Thank you. Thank you, choir. Wowzers. And now, please join me in saying the offertory words printed in your order of service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
This month, we have been exploring stories and how they can shape our understanding of not only the world around us, but of who we are. This is a story about someone whose gifts were different than those around them. And sometimes when our gifts are different, they can be hard to recognize. This is the story of Frederick the Mouse by Leo Leone, and we're going to need some help with this. All right, so with each one of these, Madeline's going to ask for a volunteer. All right, do we have a first volunteer? Yeah, come on up. Ooh, jeez. Like raising my hand so excitedly, I'm knocking the Wonder Box over. Come on up, Mason, I see you. You got those, friend? Not in order. Oh, that's fun. This will be even more fun. We'll be putting a puzzle together at the same time that we're telling the story. All right, come on up. This one's for you. All right. I'm actually also not sure when we need new ones, so we're just going to keep. Come on up, friends, we'll figure out how this goes together. All along the meadow, where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away, and the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They worked all day and night, all except for Frederick. "Frederick, why don't you work?" they asked. "I do work," said Frederick. "I gather sun rays, for the old dark winter days." And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, "And now, Frederick?" We have the colors one, there we go. "I gather colors," answered Frederick simply, "for winter is gray." And once, Frederick seemed half asleep. "Are you daydreaming, Frederick?" they asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, "Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say." Are we at winter yet? Now the winter days came. I think we might be behind. We have our things over there. Hold on, I'm going to pause. We're not at winter days yet. We're still collecting colors. All right, did we collect our colors? All right. All right. Are we at the winter days coming yet? Have the winter days come? I mean, we're right in the middle of them, I understand. We're right in the middle of the winter days. Have they come in our story? Okay. The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. "What about your supplies, Frederick?" they asked. "Close your eyes," said Frederick, as he climbed up onto a big stone. "Now I am sending you the rays of the sun. Can you feel their golden glow?" As Frederick spoke about the sun, the 4 little field mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? "What about the colors, Frederick?" they asked anxiously. "Close your eyes again," Frederick said, and he told them of the blue periwinkles and the red poppies in the yellow wheat and the green leaves of the berry bush. They saw the colors as clearly as if they had been painted into their own minds. "And the words, Frederick?" they asked. Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows grows the four-leaf clovers in June, dims the daylight, who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky, 4 little field mice like you and like I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with cold little feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with one less, or one more. When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. But Frederick, they said, you are a poet. Frederick blushed and took a bow and said shyly, I know it. Thank you to everyone who's helped to share the colors and the pictures of our story here. This is a reminder that we all have different gifts to share, and Frederick's gift was that of storytelling. And although it looked different from the gifts of the other mice, it was no less valuable. Stories are important. Stories have power, especially when they are our own. This is called The Storyteller by April Rosario. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in a small village, lived an old woman known as the Storyteller. She had been a part of the village for as long as anyone could remember, but no one actually knew where she had come from. It didn't matter, though. Everyone in the village loved her and sought her out because she was known to have the best stories in the land. She had a story for everything. Stories for times of joy, times of sorrow, for triumph, and for loss. Stories for when you were hurt or excited, stories that taught about love, and stories that shared wisdom about what to do when you were afraid. Every night she would light her fire and wait for folks to join her. And every night they did. They came one at a time to ask for the kind of stories that they needed to hear. When she was done, the villagers would often ask if there was anything that they could give her in return, and her answer was always the same. Yes, she would say. You can tell me a tale from your life. But the villagers rarely did. Most often, they would leave her small homemade gifts instead and keep their own stories close, fearing judgment or ridicule. One day, a young man, burdened by a painful past, approached the storyteller. He had lost his horse in a tragic accident, and the weight of the grief was more than he could bear. He pleaded with her to share a story that might bring him some peace. The storyteller, with a gentle smile, replied, "The most powerful stories are not the stories that we hear, but they are the ones that we tell. Your story, though heavy, holds the key to healing." Hesitantly, the young man began to share his tale of loss, his voice trembling with emotion. As he spoke, the storyteller listened attentively, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding. As the villagers passed by the fire, they paused to hear what the young man was saying. The storyteller motioned for them to sit down, and they did, one after another, more and more of them gathering. When he finished, the storyteller shared a story of her own, a tale of a young girl who had also had loss in her life, but had found strength in sharing her grief with others. When she finished, another villager shared a story, and then another, and then another. As the night went on and the fire burned hot and bright, they began to realize that their pain was not unique, that others had walked similar paths, and that by sharing their own stories, they could offer comfort and support to those who might be struggling in silence. The next morning, the storyteller was gone. And by her fire was a note that said, "You don't need me anymore, for now you have each other, and together you have more stories than you will ever need, if you just remember to share them." From that day on, each villager took turns at night lighting the fire and sharing their stories. The story circles grew and grew until eventually the whole village was taking turns, listening and sharing stories of times of joy, times of sorrow, triumph, and loss. Sharing our own stories is how we connect with one another. It's how we form community. I'm going to invite you now to think about one of those stories that you contemplated during our meditation. A story of kindness given or received. And then I'm going to invite you to turn to some of those near you if you feel comfortable doing so, and share briefly one of those stories from your life. Or you can give the gift of providing a listening ear to someone who is so moved to speak. I'll give you a few minutes and then call you back together. For those who shared and those who listened, thank you for your gifts. We are connected by this shared human experience and the joys and challenges of this life. We are blessed to be able to share our stories with one another. All right, I need a couple of friends who'd like to shake these for me. Yeah? You can go back to your seats and shake it. It's all right. You don't have to shake it here. All right. Once upon a time, there were two frogs who were hopping through the forest when they accidentally hopped into a big churn of cream. I'm not really sure why the churn of cream was in the forest. The sides of the churn were so slick and slippery that there was no place for them to hold onto, so the two frogs had to swim in circles to stay afloat. You really gotta keep shaking that, friends. If your arms get tired, just pass it along to someone else. Everyone's gonna help, right? Yeah. After a long time, one of the frogs said, "There's no hope. We're doomed to drown in this churn." The other frog said, "Don't lose hope. Life is a circle. There are bad times and there are good times, and one must endure the winter to see the spring." The other frog was not so sure, and they said, "You're wrong. We're gonna die. I tell you, we're gonna die." But the other frog said, "We must keep hope alive. For if hope dies, we too will die. But if we keep hope alive, we will live to see another sunrise." But the other frog was already starting to lose hope, and they began to sink down into that creamy liquid. "Keep hope alive! Keep hope alive!" cried the other frog. The sinking frog started repeating the words, and they felt a little bit stronger. And the more strength they had, the better they could swim in circles. They swam and they swam around and around in circles, and as they did so, an amazing thing happened. They realized that they weren't sinking anymore, and that the cream was beginning to turn to butter. Eventually, the two frogs were able to hop up off of the butter and out of the churn. They landed on the ground just in time to see a beautiful sunrise. The one said to the other, "Remember, life is a circle. Despair may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning." The two frogs hopped away into the woods. We can keep hope alive too, by moving forward together. All right, friends, with my jars, I'm going to invite you to keep passing those along and keep shaking them as hard as you can, and hopefully we're going to create some change, and by the time coffee hour happens, we're going to have some delicious butter to have with our bread. I'm going to invite you all to keep on moving forward with me, though. You can find the words up on the screens. Here you go.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. That one. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Can we get the next slide? Gonna keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back.
We're never turning back again.
Never turning back. Never turning back.
All right, friends, one last tale. This has been adapted from a story by Joshua Cyril White. Once upon a time, there was a field. It had dry grass, brambles and thistles, and high places and low places, and rocks scattered around, and a stream that passed alongside. And scattered here and there and everywhere were flowers. Buttercups and tulips, coneflowers and lupines, all kinds of bright, beautiful flowers growing up and out of that dry grass. Now you may ask, how could these flowers grow when the field was so dry? Well, the answer is that next to each flower was a hole in the ground. And in each hole lived an animal whose job it was to tend to that flower. so there were hedgehogs and field mice, and even a badger or two. Every morning, each animal would come out of the hole, hop or scurry down to the stream, and use a leaf to scoop up some water. Then they would carry their leaf back to their flower and water it each day. In a little gully in the field next to a tall sunflower lived a rabbit. Every day she would go down to the stream and get some water for her sunflower. She loved that flower. It was tall and bright, strong and healthy, and she took very good care of it. One afternoon, the rabbit decided to hop to the top of a little hill alongside her gully. When she got to the top, she saw something that she had never seen before. Down a ways, she saw a flower. It might have been a daisy, but it was hard to tell. The flower looked like it was in pretty bad shape. Now, why had she never seen the flower before? It's not that big of a mystery. She had just never climbed that particular hill and looked in that direction. Of course, she knew the field was full of flowers. She may have heard that some were not doing quite as well as her sunflower, but she'd never actually seen one that looked as bad as this. She hopped down the hill to take a closer look, and then she began to understand. That flower needed water. Its stem was bent. The petals were wilting in the heat. The ground around it was parched and dry. The rabbit felt bad that there was a flower that could be so neglected, and then she did nothing. Even though the flower looked terrible, it was just one flower in a field after all. The field had plenty of other flowers who were doing fine. The rabbit had enough work to do, tending to her own flower. So she went home and got on with her business, getting up every morning, going to the stream, watering her sunflower, and hopping around all afternoon. But the other flower didn't go away. At least once a day, the rabbit couldn't help but hop to the top of the hill and take a quick look. Every day, that other flower looked a little bit worse. And it was starting to get to her. The rabbit thought about that flower at night while she was trying to sleep. She thought about it in the morning when she hopped to the stream for water. She couldn't even enjoy her own flower as much, knowing that that other flower was wilting more and more every day. Now you may wonder, why didn't that flower just go over and water the flower? After all, it wasn't that far away, just on the other side of the hill. The stream had plenty of water, and the rabbit had plenty of time. Well, that's a good question. The rabbit thought about it all the time. She'd think about making an extra trip to the stream to get some water for that flower. But then she'd think, well, you don't just march into someone's front lawn and water their flower without asking, do you? What if that flower is someone else's to water? They might yell at me or something. Or she'd think, what if the flower likes being dried up and droopy? That's possible, isn't it? Or she'd think, aren't there animals who are supposed to go around and help out flowers whose animals don't water them? I should leave it to them, right? With all these questions swirling around in her head, the rabbit went about her business, taking care of her sunflower each and every day and trying not to think about that other flower. But it kept bothering her, especially at night. It was just the kind of irritating, actually. Sometimes she wished the flower would just get better by itself or die. But every time she sneaked a peek, there it was, looking more dry and more wilted and droopy. Finally, the rabbit couldn't stand it any longer. One morning, hopping from the stream with a full leaf full of water for her sunflower, she suddenly thought, it's just not right. Flowers are not supposed to wilt like that. Flowers should be healthy and colorful and bright and beautiful. And she found herself hopping over the hill toward that other flower, taking the water there instead. At the top of the hill, the rabbit got a little bit nervous. Her nose twitched as she sniffed the air. It might be dangerous over there. She shouldn't be watering other people's flowers. But then she said, it's just not right, and she kept going over the hill and to the other side. The rabbit hopped up close to that dry flower, closer than she had ever been before. Suddenly, a hedgehog popped out of a hole in the ground. The hedgehog yelled, hey, what are you doing? I'm going to water this flower, the rabbit said. It's too dry, and if I don't water it, it will die. The hedgehog said, what business of yours is it whether this flower dies? It's my flower. I'll take care of it how I want. Go home and take care of your own flower. But the rabbit answered, I'm sorry, I tried that. Flowers are supposed to be bright and beautiful, not wilty and droopy, so I'm going to water this flower. She watered that dry, wilted, drooping daisy right in front of that hedgehog. Now, the hedgehog fussed and mumbled and gave her mean looks. And she turned around and hopped back over the hill. The next day she came with a full leaf of water, and she watered it again. And the day after again, and the day after again. And then another. The hedgehog continued to fuss and mumble and give the rabbit mean looks. But the flower started to look better. First, the petals perked up. Then the stem began to stand up a little bit straighter. Then its leaves started to fill out and get a little bit bigger. The flower even got a little bit taller. Strangely enough, as that flower got brighter and healthier and taller and more beautiful, so did the rabbit's own flower. And then so did every other flower in the field. All of them in the field, even the ones that she had never watered, flowers she had never even noticed before. The whole field began to brighten as the colors of every single flower became more vivid and the flowers stretched taller. It was almost as if there was more water everywhere. How could that be? Were other rabbits and hedgehogs and field mice and even badgers sneaking around and watering other people's flowers? Or was it because when someone waters a wilting flower somewhere, all flowers everywhere grow a little bit brighter? Who knows? Maybe we'll just have to try it and see.
Aw. I like a good rabbit flower story. Let's see if I can actually extinguish the flame this time. All right, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together. After our post-salute, our service will end and our true service will begin. Thank you for being here, friends. Go in peace.